Akam. This is the Open Cycle. We are here again today, and our topic is: can a good person function inside a bad system? Does goodness endure under pressure or is crushed by corruption? So, my speakers today, you can see them there with me, Kingsley and Bernard. So, Kingsley agrees that a good person can function inside a bad system. But Bernard said no. Bernard said no. How can a good person function inside a bad system? When a system is corrupt, no good person can function inside. So, Bernard, I want you to clarify us, to make us understand better, what make you says a good person cannot function inside a bad system.
Yes, indeed, it is practically impossible for any good person to be able to function inside a bad system. First things first, we must understand or establish the core definition of what it means to function. And to be able to function inside a system, it means, therefore, that one must first be able to be effective within the system, must be able to advance within the system, and must be able to contribute to the outcome of that system. It is the only point in time that we can say, yes, such person functions within the system. And now, if we've established this this baseline, we can now proceed therefore to say that, to maintain that it is indeed impossible for any good person to function within the bad system, given the structural nature of a system. In any given simulation, if you have any settings that has placed obstacles in different parts of the system, it means one would have to first of all not only figure out ways to navigate the system, but must make compromises to be able to successfully or effectively navigate the system. Now, in a bad system, it is impossible for anybody to be able to navigate such system without making compromises. And provided that you make any level of compromises, it means therefore that your idea of being a good person has no baseline anymore. It means therefore that you've succumbed to the bad system, and therefore you're no longer a good person.
So thank you for this insist. So Kingsley, I hope you heard what he said. So talk to us.
Yeah, thank you. I think my opponent is one of them, and I disagree with him. First of all, we have to understand that the system self-concept, not total behavior, right? Systems don't always depict totally on how individuals should kind of function. Because if system only determine how individuals are supposed to function totally, there will not be need. In fact, there will not be need for people in the first place, right? Like, I'm trying to say that system even also depend on discretion to function. Like, there must be order in place, right? There must be judgment. There must be law interpretation to happen for the system to function. And for all those discretion to happen, then that means there's judgment in the system. And since there's judgment in the system, there's a bit of goodness. So if there's goodness in that system, that is a good person can function in that system. Now, my opponent here fails to understand the difference between function and endorsing. By function, I mean operating effectively in the system. Endorsing means moral compromise, moral agreeing to the negative thing. But no, nobody can also function in the system without agreeing with the corruption happening in the system. And again, a system requires goodness to function. Goodness to function in it. A bad system requires good people to function. Like, though they might not be rewarded, but they require honest people to function in the let me say in the ministry, in some part of it, for it to really function effectively. Without goodness, the system will totally collapse. It will get worse. What's called the system? It's a lot of the good people. If not, they could have got what maybe chaos and anarchy might happen, and the system will finally disappear, go into oblivion. good people living to reformize the corruption, to reduce it and to always keep the system in check, not to get worse. So yeah.
Now let me draw you back now to the question. Can a good person function in a bad system? Can a good person, imagine me being a policeman and I made up my plan, made up my mind from childhood that if I go to the police, I won't take bribe, I won't involve in any corrupt activities. Then getting there, I'll be like, your boss said when you're on the road, you should be collecting to 200. And I'll say, no, I will not collect to 200. And maybe for 3 years, or for 4 years, I'm supposed to be promoted, but I was not promoted because of I wasn't listening to my boss based on I don't want to be corrupt or I don't want to act as a corrupt person because I'm a good person. So again, 8 years, same thing, 12 years, same thing. Do you think I will still be the way I choose to be or I will fall into the corrupt system?
You can still be, unless you choose to. Unless maybe you're not a good person at the first place. Goodness is internal.
Well,
society can't shape your conscience. Goodness is conscious based.
First things first, I must like to point out that when my contender mentioned that I failed to understand the discrepancy between endorsement and function, it is as though you have a punchline in your head and you press to use the punchline. Because as a matter of fact, there was no point in any, when I mentioned the definition of function, there was no point where I failed to, that showcased that I failed to understand it. So should you have any punchline, you should wait for a perfect moment to be able to use a punchline. It's okay. Now, I would like to delve deeper into why I believe that a good person cannot function into a bad system, within a bad system. And my opponent made series of claims, and I would like to address them one after the other. One of the claims is why we need a bad person to exist within a good person to exist within a good system to be able to stabilize it. But I would like to draw your attention to something. If you place a good person into a bad system, what determines a bad system? How do we determine that, oh, this system is bad? It's through the outcome, right? Now, for you to be able to function effectively in any system, it means you must contribute to the outcome. Do you agree with me, my friend?
No.
We can determine that a system is either good or bad through the outcomes. It means for one to be able to function within a system, it means that person definitely contributes to the outcomes.
Unless you have to indicate either negative or
no, it doesn't matter. There's just contribution, because in this case it doesn't matter, but there's contribution. That's what it means.
No, but there are people in the society, they are not contributing in what the society.
No, it's not possible. Everybody contributes to a society.
They may be positive.
Yes, by even being silent, you're contributing.
No.
Now,
exactly.
Yes, by being silent, I have not made my point. Yeah. By being silent.
But I think I disagree with you. That's not a point, first of all.
Yeah, I think you should round up.
Oh, it is a point, unless if you misinterpret what I'm saying or you don't understand.
The definition of goodness of a bad system is wrong.
Okay, what's the definition of a bad system?
You can't just say because of the outcome and that makes it bad, right? It's because of the majority of the negative outcome of the system. That's what makes it bad. If the negativity that's coming out of the system it's mania, it's plenty than the.
Do you understand what I said? That's what I said that you do not understand my definition. We determine through the outcome, whether negative or bad. We can conclude. Our conclusion is this system is bad because of that negativity you're mentioning. So you have to,
because of the too much negativity.
Yes, that you're mentioning, but that one is
negativity is more than
secondary. Drop whatever negativity of positivity. What matters is the outcome. We tell us whether a system is bad or good. So please pay attention before you conclude. Now, I'm going to proceed. You see, what makes the outcome is what tells us, it's what gives us the metrics or the KPI to determine whether a system is bad or good. The negativity, the positivity comes later if you delve deeper into it. Now, if you sit down and say, oh, this system is bad, it means therefore you're naturally saying, oh, the negativity of the system outweighs the positivity. So it's easy. That such point is actually cheap in this aspect. So, coming back to my point before you interrupted me, I was trying to establish that first you need to contribute to the system, and what happens if you place a good person or anybody inside the system to function. Now, what happens? There are three things that happens. Now, first things first, the person would either, if the person is a good person and there's a bad system, three things will happen. The person would either compromise or be complicit to that system. Agree, yield, the system will change him. Or the person will marginalize. It means therefore the person will try to separate himself, or the person will exit the system. These are the three things that will happen to anybody who is placed into a system. Now, the first thing is the complicitness or the compromises that a person has to make to be able to navigate the system. Now, you should understand human biology and psychology are actually modeled by where they come from. It's usually situational. Our society model how we think. Our society model our character. It is the reason why we can say, oh, this country has higher crime rates than this country. The reason is because there is something about that particular country that makes the people in it to have more tendency to commit crime. So, society, system shapes people. Now, of course, indeed, there are people who are good and are placed into the system, and the system shapes them because why? It is situational. Your situation will change your perspective. You see, my host here cited an example of being in the police. When you are in that kind of system and you're not promoted, in fact, because the bosses hate the fact that you're trying to act good, you were sidelined or marginalized, which is one of the parameters that I said must exist. You were marginalized in the sense that no incentive, you mentioned incentive, no incentive was given to you. It means therefore that you work as a police, yet there's no outcome. You were not, you were treated badly, you were then marginalized, or obstacles are placed such that there's difficulty for you to be able to navigate through the system. Three things will happen to you. Either you leave the system. If you leave the system, it means you're no longer functioning in the system. If you make compromises, it means you're no longer a good person. If you are marginalized and sidelined, it means you can no longer effectively affect the outcome of the system. So it is the reason why
you can still function, right?
Yeah, what is the definition of function?
No. I think the definition of function is to operate effectively.
Yes.
Effectively.
Operate effectively within a system such that your effective operation also affects the outcome, right?
Not necessarily affecting the outcome.
There's always an outcome.
No, trust me. There's always an outcome. The other outcome. Sorry. But now, if you get to the topic is simple. Can a good person function inside a bad system? That's what it ends. We don't care about.
Yes, but the definition of function determines outcome. That's what I'm telling you. We need to be able to understand that first before we proceed. The definition of functioning inside a system means for you to be able to effectively navigate through the system.
Yes.
For you to be able to advance through the system.
Yes.
And all those processes must affect the outcome of that system. Because that is what tells us in the first place that, oh, this system is bad or good. So you must have to accept that definition because it is valid.
Remember the system is already bad. Right? The system is already bad.
Yes, we have a bad system.
Yes. That you put a good person inside,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And they're trying to tell the good person cannot function effectively inside.
Effectively, yes.
But now you look at it. Now, that doesn't mean at the end of the year, at the end of the KPI, the system, the way you check at the end of the day that, oh, the system is still bad, so therefore this person
Everybody's
is not.
bad.
No, that's
what you're trying to say.
No, that's not.
my
Totally,
friend.
no, that's totally not.
That's what my friend. You yourself, you're still trying to say that since they say Nigerians are bad, Nigerians are scammer, means all Nigerians are scammer. That has defined all of us, right? No good person can come out from Nigeria because we are all scammer. When they see you are being labeled a scammer.
That's what is happening. That's what is happening.
That's what is that the case?
It's not the case. That's why we have stereotypes.
Exactly. Now I think you are not being guilty of stereotyping people. Means everybody, since you are successful in the system, means you are bad.
No, I didn't. No. When you say Nigerians are black, when you say Nigerians are black, is it all Nigerians that are black? No, but the statement is valid. Please use numbers and numerics in your analysis because numbers are the actual universal facts. If you say Nigerians are black, not all Nigerians are black. There are white citizens of Nigeria.
Yeah,
but your
yeah,
statement is valid. So you cannot hamper on my statement and say, oh, I said everybody. No. When I say a system and so people are bad, it doesn't mean everybody in that system is.
If you look at the equation first of all, you say can a good person, that means the majority of people are bad, definitely.
Yes.
But can a good person still function effectively in the system? That's what the equation, right?
Yes.
Without the numbers being that, even if it's one person that is still good in the system, can it happen? Yes, the person can function effectively. The person can live a happy life. Still put through the system.
In what way? Okay, can I set series of obstacles and you will show me ways that the person will
Now, in ways, let me say example.
No, I want to set the ways, and then you will now be the one
Yeah.
to now tell me how the person navigates.
Okay.
We have a good person who is a police officer.
Okay.
We have a bad system of corrupt top
You can use
officials.
Nigeria example.
Nigeria as an example. For example, your salary is sidelined. Eventually, your salary will be sidelined, and you won't be offered a gun, and you're marginalized. Nobody include you in any part of the processes, and you don't get paid at all, except if you figure out ways to be able to survive in the system. Now you need your money, you need your payments to be able to survive in that system. How are you going to? What are you gonna do?
Number one, I think you exaggerated the question first of all. But for the part that the system is bad doesn't mean that it's that bad.
What is the definition of that bad?
Since there's law and order, we can interpret law, there is an allocation of resources. That means there's a form of discretion in the system, form of judgment. You say the system is bad, like the long run, majority of them are bad. You know, the output coming out in this system is mainly negative, but doesn't mean that it's not positive outcome coming out, right? Doesn't mean that is too extreme. The example is because the system is bad. They can sideline your promotion, but doesn't mean they won't pay you salary. Why are you working at the first place?
Okay,
right?
okay.
Now you can't just say they won't pay you salary.
Are you saying then which means you
that
should
no longer a
change,
system?
which means you should change your notion of a good person can function into a bad system. You can just say a good person can function into a moderately bad system.
No.
If you cannot accept, if you cannot accept every definition of bad.
Listen, Nigeria is bad doesn't mean that there are not happy people here.
I gave you a scenario.
No, your scenario is too
extreme.
Your scenario is
too extreme.
It's kind of a trap. You want to put me in a trap and it's too extreme. And that place is just like a go-getter, you put person in what do they call this thing? A purgatory.
Can you imagine?
Yes, we have a system that is purgatory in nature. We have a system that is purgatory in nature. So place a good person inside that system.
That is too extreme.
Yes, bro. If you
can't withstand someone's salary, at the end of the day, then you don't even the person. No, that is too. But you can withhold somebody in someone's promotion, right? And the person can still be good.
Are you saying we don't have a situation where people are not paid when their salary are withheld?
You know what surprised me?
Is that what you're saying?
You know what surprised me, Kisile? After giving that example, I was like, maybe this guy said physically is a bad person, because how can somebody use nature think that you will stop someone from receiving salary, you will delay the person promotion, you will sideline the person, like what?
A scenario.
Man, that scenario.
You must accept every single definition of bad if you stand for your point. If there are definitions of bad that you cannot accept.
What we are saying is a corrupt system.
You're not saying you are a host, my friend.
Yeah.
Remember,
what we are saying is a corrupt system.
What we're saying is a bad system.
Remember, you have to define a system before you define the bad.
Okay.
But for a system to exist means there is law and order first, right?
It's not necessarily.
No. That's what makes a system. There's a constitution in place to differentiate good from bad, right? Anything bad is illegal in the system. It's not legal. You can't see a system that function, and they'll say there's right to kill. But people do kill. There are people that do promote themselves, that become bigger than the system, but it's illegal. Only that you can't prove it in court. But doesn't mean it's legal. You can withhold somebody's salary. You can go and undo. All those legalities in the system, that's what makes it bad. Remember, illegality makes system bad,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So
illegality exists in the system.
Exactly.
And I am basing my argument on the fact that the illegality of that particular system is critical. I want you to build on that.
Okay.
Critical in the sense that it is possible that somebody's salary will be withheld. in such system, and the person who withheld salary can get away with it. Why can't you accept this definition of bad? It doesn't contradict a system.
Exactly. Yes.
So,
And it's happened in Nigeria.
Good.
Too, that people,
So
but now,
proceed.
listen, it's still a very bad fact though.
But the person can
Yeah.
still survive.
Yeah, this is surviving. Isn't
So,
it?
now,
Look at Nigeria for instance.
Okay.
Some states that see whole living pension, but people are still surviving.
Surviving
People-
what way?
People, they're still being good.
We're talking
Trust me.
about, no, we're talking
Now,
about-
listen.
Okay.
There have been cases in civil service that that civil servants return money. Police officer, they return money that been lost. Right? So they even need that salary is poor, but to show that there's still goodness in them. Goodness is internal. No, the system doesn't shape you to be a bad person unless, and first of all, you're not being a good person. You're not a good person first of all.
That is not correct.
But they agree with me that police officers return money. What?
Yeah, we agree with that, but
right,
the question they ask-
right,
The question is so
right,
that
right,
is, go
right.
on.
No.
Yeah, we agree
right.
with that.
Okay, now you look even in the world in general. You look at the story of Saint Martha. That even though to the hard conditions that being put in, they're still happy. They still survive. They still navigate this. They even still convert people into goodness.
Now,
right?
it
Now,
is-
without a good person in the system will go to unbelievable to get worse. What stop that system from getting worse?